Jamie, if you do not sit...
Look, I don't fucking want to sit down! You do not tell me when to sit down! You do not control what I fucking... Look at me now!
Now, there's a TV show on Netflix that's been getting under people's skin, and for good reason. It's called Adolescence. On the surface, it's about teenage violence. But what it really captures, in a way that's rare, is the psychological freefall that some boys are in today. And I'm not just talking about bad behavior or rebelling. I'm talking about boys who are completely lost in a world where they're being told, often online, that being strong means being cold, that to be respected, you must dominate, and that if you show emotion, you're weak.
You look a bit red. Did I scare you when I shouted?
She wrote this on your
I mean, I'm only 13. I don't think I look that scary.
Could you tell me what these emojis
Oh,
mean?
how embarrassing is that? Getting scared of a 13-year-old.
I'm Dr. Patrick Kingsip. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I see what that pressure does, not just to boys, but to their families, their schools, and their relationships. And in this video, I want to talk about what adolescence gets right and what it reveals about the emotional state boys are in right now and why we're still not having the conversations we need to. Adolescence tells the story of a young teenage boy, not someone from a broken home or a stereotypical background, but a pretty average kid. Middle class, decent school, involved parents, nothing extreme. And yet he ends up doing something violent, something just totally unthinkable. So what makes it hit so hard isn't just what happens, it's how strangely believable it feels. There's no big event that explains everything, no dramatic turning point. It just unfolds quietly, like something that could have happened in any school, in any suburb. And that's what I found so disturbing. Not the violence itself, but the emotional emptiness around it. You're watching a boy who seems hollowed out. He's not raging. He's not spiraling. He's just kind of like disconnected. From a psychological point of view, that flatness is significant. It often shows up in boys who are overwhelmed, but just can't express it. They don't explode, they retreat.
Men talking about how they feel and stuff, young men especially, is pretty much non-existent.
It's like they're emotionally numb, but underneath, they're carrying all this pressure, identity confusion, rejection, fear, frustration.
I'm interested in the fact that you think you're ugly, Jamie.
Yeah, I'm fascinated.
I'm interested in it because what you think is more important to me than what is true, okay?
What adolescence gets right, I think, is that it doesn't over-explain him. It doesn't offer neat answers, and that feels honest because in real life, you often don't get a full story either. You just get fragments, gaps. And if no one's paying attention, those gaps can become dangerous.
It's not just the outcome, is it? We're talking about why.
That's the key. It's not a who done it, because we know straight away. It's a why done it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boys today aren't growing up in a bubble. Whether they're 8 or 18, they're being shaped every day by what they scroll past, what they watch, what they listen to. It's angry, it's loud, and it's emotionally empty.
You've seen what she wrote.
Well, I have. Okay.
Looks like she'd be nice, right?
Isn't she?
The dynamite. What do you think that means?
I don't know.
We're not just talking about a few bad influencers or some extreme corners of the internet. This is mainstream now. A steady stream of content telling boys in thousands of tiny ways that showing emotion makes you weak, that being powerful means being feared, and that your worth comes from control, over others.
I don't know what you're talking about. Just break it down.
80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. You'll never get them in a normal way. 80% of women are cut off or she's saying he's an incel.
We're tapping into social media, online, you know, and how that is affecting the minds of our young people. It can indoctrinate you, of course.
You've got boys watching motivational videos that start with gym routines and end with misogyny. You've got 12-year-olds repeating things they barely understand, because it sounds confident and cool, and no one else is talking to them about this stuff.
I'd come home, slam the door straight up the stairs on the computer, and I'd knock and I'd say, Jamie, come on, son, you've got school tomorrow. And the lights would turn off, but he never said nothing.
And what's tricky is that some of it sounds like it's trying to help. That's what makes it so slippery. It comes dressed up as self-improvement or confidence building. But underneath, it's reinforcing this message that boys need to either dominate or disappear. That there's no room for vulnerability, no room for not knowing. And look, it's tempting to say, well, just ban it. Ban the platforms, ban the apps. And yeah, restrictions can help, especially for younger kids. But we've got to be honest, most boys will find ways around that. Because when no one is having a real conversation with boys about what they're feeling, when the only messaging they get is either toughen up or silence, they're going to go looking. And right now, the loudest voices are the ones giving them certainty, even if that certainty is built on something toxic. So the problem isn't just the internet. It's that the internet is doing a better job of offering boys an identity than we are. And if we don't step into that space with something stronger, something more human and grounded, we leave them wide open.
But I do sometimes think we should have stopped it.
We can't think like that. That's what she said. It's not our fault. We can't blame ourselves.
But we made him, didn't we?
That space doesn't stay empty. Something always fills it. And what adolescence really highlights, without having to say it directly, is that adults often don't step in soon enough. The people around Jamie weren't bad parents or bad teachers.
Yeah, and in the sense of his relationship with his father, father and son relationships are vital.
They were just a little too distracted, a little too unsure. And that's exactly how these things unfold in real life.
You can't keep an eye on them all the time, love. We just can't.
He has a terrible temper, but so have you.
Don't say that. I didn't give him that, did I? What did I give him that?
People think if something serious was happening, someone would notice. But the truth is, by the time it becomes obvious, it's usually too late. So what we call bad behavior, the outbursts, the shutdowns, the limit pushing, those are often the end of a long road, not the start. So in my work, I've sat across from boys who've acted out in ways that shocked their families.
Because everyone was calling her slag, or flat or whatever, so I thought when she was like that weak, she might like me.
And what's almost always underneath that is confusion and frustration and emotional pain they didn't have words for, and no one asked them about it. That silence, that assumption that he's just being a teenage boy or he'll grow out of it, it's a risk. Because while we're waiting for it to pass, someone else might already be stepping into that space. Some online figure, some peer group that makes him feel powerful for the wrong reasons, some idea that turns his confusion into certainty and then into action. We can't keep thinking someone else will handle it. We all have a role, not in diagnosing or fixing, but in noticing, in checking in.
What do you think about women?
I like them.
But you're not, like you say, particularly friends with them.
I'm not a twat, though.
Silence creates a vacuum, and if we don't fill it with something real, someone else will.
Incel stuff, you know what that is.
Yeah, I do.
No, I don't know what that is. What is it?
It's the involuntary celibate stuff. It's the Andrew Tate shite.
They're left to work it out on their own. Here's the thing, most boys aren't drawn to violence. They're drawn to structure, to clarity, to feeling like they have a place in a world where they're taken seriously. And when the world feels chaotic, or they feel invisible, or even powerless, they reach for the things that promise control. And what they rarely get shown is what healthy strength actually looks like.
Now you're just going on about masculine stuff. The first time you came, you had actual questions. Is this right, Jamie? Do you know whether this is wrong, Jamie? Now he's just chatting shit.
And when we don't show them that, they start building their identity around the only examples they have, which are often rigid and shallow or built on dominance. We say we want respectful boys, emotionally intelligent boys, but what are we teaching them really? We teach the physical stuff, puberty, biology, maybe even consent. But how much time do we spend on things like rejection, how to deal with feeling humiliated or ashamed or lonely?
Don't you even like me a bit? What did you think about me then? Decide, come on!
This was really useful.
Don't you go fucking tell anyone that, did it?
Hey,
Don't you dare!
Whoa, come on. Those emotions don't disappear just because we just don't talk about them. They just get buried, and they come out later in ways that cause problems: anger and avoidance, hyper-control, disengagement. Boys need space to talk about what's actually going on, to ask real questions like, how do I speak up without feeling weak? What do I do with this knot of anger that I can't explain? How do I handle not feeling chosen, respected, seen? And this isn't about lecturing boys. It's not about shaming them or handing them a list of do's and don'ts. It's about creating space for them to figure it out with support. Because if we don't offer that space, someone else will. And a lot of the time, those someone else's are teaching boys that love is a trap and that power is the only way to be safe. What adolescence shows us isn't just the story of one boy. It's a reflection, a mirror held up to the systems, schools, home, families, online. These spaces that are quietly shaping the ways boys grow up. And if we're honest, it's not working all that well. It's not about blaming parents or teachers or the internet tech platforms. It's about asking better questions and being brave enough to have that conversation we usually avoid. Because boys aren't just becoming violent or withdrawn or reactive out of nowhere. They're responding to the world around them, to the silence, to the expectations, to the way they've learned what's acceptable and also what isn't. We don't need to fix boys. We need to create space where they can figure themselves out without being shamed and ignored or just kind of pulled into the wrong direction. That starts with how we speak, what we model, and whether we're willing to sit with the discomfort of not having all the answers. What do you think boys need more of today? And who do you think they're listening to? So leave a comment below. And if this video feels like something someone else needs to hear, please consider sharing it.